Welcome to the show which does for the reputations of our sporting stars almost as much as Vinnie Jones has done for rhythmic gymnastics. There's a distinct musical bent to tonight's proceedings. After Michael Jackson's appearance at Fulham, Arsenal reveal they too can call on the backing of a singing superstar. For fans of 70s glam rock, we've got a definitive performance by Mud. And for aging boy band fans, take that.
You've done really well, because I thought you would struggle after Take That. I did honestly. I really did think. I thought anybody who can't play, who can't write, who can't play guitar, I thought really struggle. Gary Barlow probably kept the band together.
Apart from that,
no, hold on. I'm telling you now, you have done brilliantly.
Apart from that, you've got a lot of talent.
We're on with the motley and a selection of moments from international football which suggest that even at the highest level of the game, the only thing some players end up kicking is themselves.
Donnelly supplying some width. Back onto the left foot, drifted in, and there's the equaliser. That looked to me like an own goal. Simon Donnelly's ball into the box. And it's an own goal, which hands Scotland an equaliser.
There's Razou with the throw towards Dougie. Now can he turn? He can't, but this is Djokaev. And it went in off Issa.
Good strength there by Dougie. Calm head. Good skill by Djokaev. Gets himself a yard. Very unlucky for Issa. Sticks his foot out, unfortunately. Don't kick it down the wrong way.
It is Tarnat, and it's an own goal. Mihailovic seemed to stick out a leg. It will be difficult for him to claim that one, because Mihailovic, who scored with a similar free kick against Iran, has diverted that one past his own keeper.
Rekdal trying to surprise the keeper at the near post, and Norway have equalised. Rekdal knocking the ball to the back post, and maybe the goalkeeper's uncertainty in the air illustrated by that goal. Berg is claiming it, but surely it's going to go down as an own goal by the defender. I think it's number 18. Yes, it is. Chipo, in trying to clear, has put it back into his own net.
England have gone back to the form of the latter part of the first half. Good decision by the referee to allow play to continue. This is Giles, and he's going an own goal by Phil Thompson.
Still with Nevin. McCoist is down. An own goal! It's a super run with little Pat Nevin. And he looks up. He doesn't play a particularly good ball in the box, but there's the defender under pressure.
For an even more bizarre offering, take a look at this recent game between Indonesia and Thailand. BBC Sports' John Champion takes up the gory details.
Fancy an all-expenses-paid trip to Hanoi. The players of Indonesia and Thailand plainly didn't, as they did their utmost to avoid victory. The thought of playing in Vietnam in the semi-final of the Tiger Cup was simply too much to stomach, and after Thailand had equalised to make it 1-1, the game descended into farce. Aji Santoso put Indonesia back in front, beating a static keeper, and a trip to help the Vietnamese celebrate National Day loomed. Not for long. Thailand's Chairman wasn't supposed to be trying, but when it seemed easier to miss than score, he scored. 2-2, prompting his colleagues to tell him to pull his socks up. Indonesia, playing in white to signal their surrender, were desperate. They had to lose or it was hello Hanoi. Remember as you watch this that they're supposed to be attacking the left-hand goal. Goalkeeper Kartiko stepped out of the way. Ekadono won the match for the opposition. The temptation watching the replay is to think the scorer is offside, but nothing in this game was as it seemed.
Now, you don't need me to tell you that golf can be a funny game. You'll remember how a few years ago, Northern Ireland's David Faherty was bitten by a snake during a tournament. And the next day, a reporter said to him, "How's it been since yesterday?" And quick as a flash, Faherty said, "I don't know. I haven't seen it since it bit me." I suppose we'll ever know now. But then, even for the greatest players, golf throws up a lot of unanswerable questions. Questions like, why on earth did I bother to get up this morning anyway?
I think just get this one out anything like tidily.
Now then. He's going to try and hit it out from there. Still in there, I suspect, yes. No, he just caught the top, and that's going to end up in the sand again.
David Graham up by the green. You see,
risking everything, trying a wood from the bunker across the water. A brave shot, and he's hit it too low. I think that must be under.
oh, you've seen that happen so often.
He's topped that, I think. Yeah. He's hit it on the head. No.
There's Nakajima, and he's left it in there. Qualified in the sudden death playoff, on the leaderboard, in contention. Back in there again. His sixth shot. He's done it again.
Oh, that's desperately unlucky. That ball jumped back into the burn. Now here they are in the road bunker, Zokol and O'Meara. Oh, he's and he will have much to rue. Another go for Richard Zokol at the 17th. He's done it again. Well.
The old sands of Nakajima. For all we know, your man could still be there. But the inside story on today's golfing scene is not far away, and the person of a golf enthusiast who's also one of the BBC's most versatile presenters. Whether it's snooker or curling, bowls or beach volleyball, he'll be there, keeping viewers in the picture in a style so laid back. Well, if he were a golf club, he'd definitely be a wedge. So please welcome Dougie Donnelly. But you're steeped in the lore of the old traditional good walk spoiled, aren't you?
Absolutely, up to the knees. Yeah, listen, it was great to see one of David Fairty's great lines there. He's one of the funniest men in the game.
He makes a living on the American
That's right.
golf circuit now.
Commentator with CBS.
As a comedian, but he's also a commentator.
That's right. Described Jim Furyk as an American golfer with one of those strange loopy swings. He said he's got a swing like an octopus falling out of a tree. Which is a great Fairty line, isn't it?
Yes. Do you have to be interested in golf if you're from Scotland, or is it a rule? I mean,
I think it probably is, yeah. I mean, the youngsters are brought up to play golf just as easily as they are to play football or rugby. Well, they're not all good at it. I mean, if I didn't have so many sweaters, I'd probably give it up. But no, we do. We love the game. It's the home of golf, isn't it?
Yeah, why there are not so many good Scots golfers then?
Oh, I think Colin Montgomery or Sam Torrance or Andy Coltart might disagree with that, wouldn't they?
Who are those three that you You get all the good jobs, don't you? I mean, the Olympics, you got the beach volleyball.
I had to fight for that one.
Yeah.
The volley dollies, as we called it.
Yeah, but this is the thing, you see. I mean, it's all very well for Des Lynott to be supercilious about it. He said that, you know, it's only a matter of time before leaning on a bar in a pub becomes an Olympic sport.
I bet I'm kind.
But, you know, you can see how he'd want that to be an Olympic sport. Win a gold medal. But
do you know, it was one of the best kept secrets of those Olympics. There was actually a men's beach volleyball contest as well.
But nobody
talked about it.
Who wants to see men in shorts?
Correct, yeah. I suppose you can't expect to take that seriously. I mean, professional athletes in bare feet, sunglasses and fluorescent green sunblock.
Yeah.
You can't take it seriously.
The Winter Olympics, you've got an even more plum job, didn't you?
The curling, the competitive housework, as some paper called it. It's a traditional Scottish sport, and it's a great competitive game, and our women did very well. Kirsty Hastings, we came within a couple of centimetres of a medal. But the thing we had with the curling, we had to explain it. It was a mission to explain, because 95% of the audience had never seen curling. So we really had to be very careful at trying to get over
it's
the
all that
subtleties.
brushing in front of the thing before it...
It's hard work. It's hard work, and it's slippy out there.
It's supposed to be. It's ice. But I mean, the Scots are best are up there with the world in 3 sports, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. It's an indication of the splendid athletes we are. We're very, very good, genuinely world class at snooker, at indoor bowls, and curling. That must tell you something.
Because the football, of course, in Scotland, it's the Old Firm, Rangers, Celtic. You have to keep your affiliations to yourself.
Oh, yeah, keep it very, very secret. I do our Saturday night Match of the Day programme, as you know, and people refuse to believe that you cannot have an affiliation to either Rangers or Celtic. Now, I don't. I'm a Clyde supporter. Yeah, I thought you'd be impressed. In the Scottish Second Division. But genuinely, people, you get letters saying, we knew your beloved Rangers had lost when we saw your face tripping you on Saturday night. We knew your beloved Celtic had won when we saw the big smile.
I know, yeah.
But no, absolutely down the middle. I tell you, we're missing in Scottish football. We're missing Gaza. Things are not quite so much fun since Gaza went. A friend of mine told a great story of the many Gaza exploits. The hotel he stayed in when he was in Glasgow had a very, very nice restaurant, and on a Saturday night, they were all having dinner in this very nice restaurant with a harpist playing in the corner. The atmosphere was perfect. And suddenly the door opened, and it was like the Wild West saloon. You know, conversation stopped, the harpist stopped, and there stood Gaza, stripped to the waist, pair of shorts, pair of flip-flops, and in complete silence with perfect timing he said, anybody want a game of snooker? We miss him since he went south. It's not the same.
Dougie, thank you for joining us.
Been a pleasure.
Dougie Donnelly.
Thank you.
Well, as Dougie disappears into the gathering gloom, there's a chance to catch up with some sportsmen and women fall over themselves to get on the television.
McPherson ahead of him, number 2 Walker, and there Michael Rutter. These 3 having a race all of their own. Oh dear me, that's McPherson. There must be some oil still on the tarmac. Happily for Ian McPherson, he gets up and walks away.
Trying to be gathered up coming down the hill as he approaches a bounce fence. You watch no stride here. Horse has to land and take off again with his front legs, and he put in a stride. There you have it. And that is what happens. Off goes poor Polly.
Hislop, Llewellyn Azan, almighty. Three of them down. One of them's Moody. And the Mackenzie's in the middle. Neil Mackenzie's come down. Who's that's Sean Emmett. Oh dear, 3 of the leading championship contenders wiped out within 10 seconds from the green light. All of the riders on their feet.
Here's Basir, and here's Sheepo. Oh. Free kick is given. Hadji was waiting for the ball on the right and would have been clear had he been given it.
It's all a touch undignified, if you ask me. Let's raise the tone. Turn to the eminently civilized world of lawn tennis, where nothing like that ever goes on. And if you believe that, you really can't be serious. How's that for a bit of nostalgia?
Someone's underneath the covers. Well, we hope he's all right.
No, I think he's all right. You can see him crawling. Here he comes. We're going to get a round of applause, I'm sure. I think he's okay. Yeah, it's brought a smile to his face. Outwardly, anyway.
We have a airborne visitor over to the left on the net, or just beyond the net.
There he is.
Goes.
Oh, what a miss!
Well, you shouldn't laugh, but I mean, he absolutely had it made. It just shows you that the best players in the world can miss the easiest looking shots.
That he thought was going to be the winner. This he knew was going to be a winner.
Now, as if you could wait any longer, it's time to continue our series explaining some of the subtleties of the beautiful game, otherwise known as association football, with the help of some of the sport's leading figures. Men such as the former England manager Bobby Robson, who after England's 3-2 victory over Cameroon in Italia 90 told reporters, "We didn't underestimate them. They were just a lot better than we thought." An important distinction there. But take this significant insight attributed to Dave Harry Bassett. If the goalkeeper hadn't been there, it would have been a goal. See, this game isn't as simple as you might think. Help's at hand. We take you inside the mind of the professionals. An invaluable guide to understanding the game.
And you have to say, it was very naughty of Paul McKenna to hypnotise this goalkeeper into thinking he's about to go sumo wrestling.
I told you we should never play football in these red and white shirts. The colours are far too contrasting and it doesn't go with my hair, does it, eh? You and your big ideas, it's almost the same, isn't it? Good chip toothpaste, just like this. Well, Ivan Ormsco for the National Getting in the Way Championships. Oh, that was masterful. And they're so delighted they're having a ceremonial slap. Well, it's not only in rugby where you can see a really good up and under. Oh, he's brought the linesman down as well. With a quick tap on the posterior, all's forgiven.
You must always be prepared in football. Ouch, that hurt. So in boisterous football games, use Super Denture Grip to hold your dentures firm when you get smacked in the head.
And the British Fingertip Boxing Championships well underway now. Yeah, I think the referee's winning on points.
Alright, that does it. I'm not playing anymore until I've had my packed lunch.
Oh,
where is it?
it's in your room.
Oh, right, I thought it was up there. Sorry, babe. Now, this man wants to play the game wearing his long trousers and overcoat, but I don't think it's going to be allowed. Oh, dear, look at this. Uncle Jack, Uncle Desmond, and Jeremy and Kenneth from number 17, and Robert Croston coming in to object. But it's a very cold day out there.
What do you mean I look like Jimmy Hill? I've never been so insulted in all my life.
Oh, by gum, he's fallen flat on his nose there. But what a wonderful goal. And the players now totally ignore their injured colleague and run off in a line like at the end of the Benny Hill show. Take a look at that. Oh, what a shove. Now, that's not allowed. And there goes the Jimmy Hill lookalike, who also gets the red card for being a pain in the neck.
And if you need further shrewd insights, look no further than my next guest, who regularly casts an informed and humorous eye over the football scene on television and radio. The only word of warning I should offer is he's a fan of Crystal Palace. Given their parlous financial state, he'll probably be passing the hat around later. So welcome, Kevin Day.
Long walk, isn't it?
It is a long old walk. You want to try putting it? Was that the Crystal Palace song I heard echoing round this cavernous place as you came on?
What, the ironic all glad all over?
You know what pain is, haven't you?
Yes. Yes, I've had operations without anaesthetic and I've been a Palace fan for 32 odd years.
What about now?
Disaster, essentially. It's a nightmare for people like me because I'm not just a football fan. I'm not just Johnny-come-latelys. I'm an obsessed football fan. I did want to call my first child after the entire Crystal Palace team. Obviously, Relegation Day wasn't the sort of name that... we called him Zippity Doodah in the end. That's quite But a friend of mine, actually, his first little girl, he was so upset his wife wouldn't let him call her Crystal Patricia Alice because then she'd be Crystal Pete Alice. And of course, we argued about it at the pub, and all the men couldn't see what was wrong with that. All the women said, "That's disgusting. It's a lovely name. It's a lovely name."
Yeah, I think people who are not real football fans don't appreciate the depths to which you sink, do they? I mean, have you any sympathy for people who don't appreciate football?
Oh, none whatsoever.
No,
not at all. I'd rather support the worst football team in the world than have no love for football. I get very cross with people who still... See, the trouble is I can't answer you back, Terry, because my mum will tell me off really badly.
All right, yeah. OK, well, then I'm in a good position.
No, I don't like... For example, when I used to go out with a very posh girl whose mother was an opera singer, and she used to do all that classic, "Oh, it's just 22 boys kicking a bag of air about, isn't it?" And he said, "Well, I could say that about opera, couldn't I? I could say it was just 22 fat German women singing about magic parrots, couldn't I?" Yeah. I forgot she was German as well, which didn't help. But also, all the posh bit as well, this posh woman, her father's really into rowing. It's like, rowing, you can't call that a sport. Football's the only sport. Rowing, the Oxford and Cambridge boat race, which I think is the only one as far as I know. I don't know if there are others. You've got 16 of the brightest young academic talents this country can produce, and they need somebody in the boat with them to tell them what to do. You don't get that with darts. That's why the wrong people are running this country. You don't get it with darts, do you? You don't get a big fat bloke and a little midget going arm back, arm forward, let go, arm back.
It's a kind of mecca of the game, isn't it? Selhurst Park.
Yeah, it's a mecca as in bingo hall. Yeah. Well, I'd like to think it is, of course, but you know, where other grounds have got the Stretford End, other grounds have got the Stretford End, great names, the Cop.
Yeah.
We've got the Sainsbury's End. So-called, I imagine, because we regularly score 9 goals or less there every season. You know. But it's so, because you think of Stretford End and you think glory and you think glamour, you think George Best, you think of the Cop, you think glory, you think Shankly, think of the Sainsbury's End, you think cheese and onion. It's like
Crystal Palace fans, would they be more sophisticated? Are they sophisticated? Are they sophisticated London urbanites? Are they?
Well, sadly, London stops just where the ground starts, really, because you've kind of got London and you've got very much Croydon.
Yeah. But you do have a touch of the old Italiano earlier on this year. Lombardo is playing for you.
We had the bald eagle.
Yes, wonderful player.
Flew away when he realised what exactly he'd let himself in for.
Who do you think he thought he was joining?
I have no idea, but even more so because we've got 2 Chinese players now, which is fantastic. Because I would love to have been at the conversation where their agent tried to persuade them to leave the most exotic, historical civilization ever for Croydon. But it's a bit of a worry because this is genuine. My dad, because we've got the Chinese players, they've sold the rights to Palace games to Chinese television, which has got my dad terrified. For the simple reason that if Palace score and 20 million Chinese people jump up and down, it could be a tidal wave that takes the whole world out.
Man speaks sooth.
It's the sophistication that you talk about is taking a lot of the, I wouldn't say the fun out of the game, but I do miss the terrace humour a lot of it. And it's interesting to note Scottish football you've talked about a lot on this programme, I notice. And I'll tell you 3 of the famous things I've ever heard at football, which just sums up why football fans are the best people in the world. One was at Watford, where somebody in a queue for burgers said to the guy, "Have you got really, really rancid, stale, dripping in fat burgers?" And the bloke said, "No, of course I haven't." He said, "Do you know where I can get them? Because I'm allergic to fresh." Which is great. I was once at Hibernian, just after Hibs. Hibs made their stadium an all-seater stadium by virtue of putting bits of wood on the concrete. Right, with big nails, bits of wood on the concrete, all-seater stadium. And by some miracle, Hibs were winning 5-0 against some obviously very poor Scottish team. And somebody shouted out, I'm not very good at the accent, you have to apologise, somebody shouted out, "Come on, we want sex." And the voice was, "Is that sex or six?" And the bloke said, "Whichever the team prefer." This is great. And even better, I was at Cowdenbeath when I was doing the Edinburgh Festival. I went to Cowdenbeath, the Blue Brazils, which is fantastic. And this is, I swear to God, it's true. They had to move a tractor before we could get into the turnstile, which is fantastic. Yeah. Even in Croydon, you don't have to move tractors to get into the turnstile. And of course, because they're a local club, most of the players are local and the people know each other. And a player got substituted, and as he was walking off, despondently, somebody shouted out, "Johnson, you were rubbish." And another voice shouted out, "Hey, your dad's chips are far too expensive."
That's terrific. That's terrific. And it's really nice to talk to you. Thank you, Kevin.
Pleasure to be here.
Kevin Davies.
Thank you.
Well, as Kevin soars off into the sunset, clutching only 50p he's wrung from the camera crew, and the signed photograph of Don Rogers, which is always about his person, I'd ask you to pay particular attention for some important advice. It's based on cases such as this, from an ice hockey match between Cardiff Devils and the Nottingham Panthers.
Good play, and here's Eklof. Just the stick of Dubois, and it's broken the plexiglass, which is shattered and will clearly have to be replaced.
He had to pay for that out of his pocket money, you know. But of course, the people who are really in trouble were the bystanders. So whatever your choice of spectator sport, look out.
15th hole, Phil Mickelson trying to drill a low iron, and well, he gave this a serious swish because he gets well across the line. He's got a long swing that isn't ideally suited. Now here we go. Well, it took a little bit of a sting off it.
but we're just inquiring now. Now he's smiling. Any minute now a lawyer will rush up and represent him. Who can we sue? The manufacturer, the turf manufacturer, the golfer, the player, him?
Oh, he's over. I think he's all right.
This is a remarkable shot. That was the best shot he could play, was the lob, because it gave him plenty of time to recover if he was able to recover. But he had a nasty little slip just prior to impact.
Canadians out with Desjardins. Oof. No, he didn't mean to do that. And I think he's hit the assistant coach on the side of the head. What are they saying about knocking some sense into him? That was a Russian joke. He's all right. He'll be okay. Just don't let the scar heal. Bag of ice, yes, that's a good idea.
3 teams left and 1 will be eliminated here. Oh, VJ. He said it's a gun, it was. Oh, what a bit of luck. Oh, on the wrist. 1 on the wrist. Oh, dear, that should be all right there, no? That's painful.
The snowboarders' half-pipe final, that sounds like another one of those social occasions where today a cameraman got trashed. One of the snowboarders got just a little bit too high. The cameraman was unhurt and the snowboarder allegedly felt no pain at all.
And our chums, our time together is almost done, and I must bid you farewell. But not before, in deference to Kevin Day, we can thrill again to the strains of the Crystal Palace squad of 1990, who stopped off at the recording studios en route to the FA Cup final, where the Singing Eagles duly had their wings clipped in a replay by Manchester United. Take it away, lads, please.
Terry's back at 8 o'clock this Sunday on BBC One with more wholesome television, the all-new Natural Bloomers. Gazumping is the word on everyone's lips. How to guard against it, just one of the right moves on BBC Two shortly. Here on BBC One, we're visiting the Children's Hospital in a moment.